Okay, so I've never told anyone this story before, but I figured this would be a good place to get it out of my system. This is one of the scariest nights of my life, and it still makes me scared to drive alone at night. The only person in my real life who knows this story is one of my older brothers, who was there after everything went down. So to preface this story, I am currently a 21-year-old female and I live in Ohio. At the time this story takes place, I was moving from a very well-known suburb outside of a main city to a rural farming town with my family. My parents have never been the city type, as they had both grown up on farms in the South during their childhoods, and our whole family had lived in similar areas until I was about to enter high school. So you can understand how itchy they were to get back to their roots. I am the youngest of 4 siblings. I have 3 older brothers, and I was the last to finish required schooling. So the summer after I graduated from high school, my parents decided this was a good opportunity for a change in scenery, because I was no longer tied down to a school district. The town that we were moving to was only around 45 minutes away, and instead of moving everything all at once and overwhelm ourselves with a full house of boxes, my parents opted to have us move a chunk of our things every day or every few days for around 2 to 3 weeks in hopes that it would be easier for us to get settled into the new house. The majority of the drive between the 2 towns is through main highways, and it's pretty much a straight shot, so I had become very used to the routine drive after a while. That's why this night was so terrifying, because I had literally made this drive nearly 50 times, and I was so comfortable that my guard was let down completely. I'm a pretty small girl, around 5'3" and about 140 pounds, and even though my dad taught me self-defense when I was younger, I am the kind of person who freezes during confrontation or under pressure, so it's a miracle I made it out of this whole thing safely. This night, I had decided to visit some old friends from the neighborhood that we were moving from, and because I was already down the street from my old house, I decided to stop on my way back to our new house to pack up some things to take back with me. I can't exactly remember what time it was. I'm pretty sure it was around 10 or 11 p.m., but regardless, it was already very dark outside. Now, even though Ohio is a northern state with pretty brutal winters, in recent years the summers have been basically sweltering, even at night. I can also get a little car sick in the heat with all of this muggy air getting trapped in the car, and at the time my AC was pretty crappy and never really worked right, so I usually drove with my windows down. As I said, it was pretty late, so there were really no other cars on the roads with me. I had maybe seen about 10 cars during the whole drive. When I made it a little over halfway on the second main highway I had to take, there was an intersection with a gas station on my right, and nothing but a river and a bridge on the left. It was a 4-lane, 2-way road, and I had happened to be in the rightmost lane because of a turn I had to make further up the road. This might seem like useless information now, but it will be important later. I hadn't initially felt off in any way, because again, I had made this drive dozens of times. I pulled up to a red light at this intersection, and I was playing some pop-punk music with my left arm out of my open driver's side window to get some air outside of my hot car. I hadn't noticed at first, but as I was waiting for the light to change, another car had pulled up into the left lane next to me. Looking back now, I don't remember the make of the car. It might have been a Dodge Charger, but I do remember that it was bright orange, with a thick black stripe across the top of it. I was singing along to whatever song I had on at the time, when I heard talking next to me. It wasn't so much that I had heard them specifically talking about, or to me, or anything, but they were talking quite loudly, and I have ADHD, so the extra noise above the sound of my music made me turn my head. I regretted it immediately, because when I looked to the source of the noise, I saw a man sticking his head out of the passenger side of the window, staring right at me, and smiling widely. The look in his eyes made me want to throw up. Apparently, he had been talking to me. I turned back quickly, knowing if I kept my eye contact any longer, he would think I was interested in chatting. Then, I heard the sound of a hand hitting hollow metal. The guy in the car next to me was smacking his hand on the outside of his car door, obviously trying to get my attention. In the middle of all of this, the front passenger started to whistle. You know, that signature whistle that a lot of girls get while walking down the street. I started to get angry because I wasn't a dog, but I kept my gaze forward, praying for the light to change so I could get away from these creeps. Now, I know it sounds ridiculous that we are still sitting here at this red light, but the town that I had been passing through had really old and crappy light sensors, like the ones you have to back up and pull forward again to set off. And again, there had really been no one else on the road to set them off, because there weren't even cars coming perpendicular to us either. I hadn't given them any indication I wanted to talk to them, but apparently, this gave them more incentive to continue trying to get me to look back at them. The front passenger and the other two voices all piped up, saying things like, "Hey baby, why don't you get out and hop in the car? We'll show you a good time tonight. Come on, pull over to the gas station, we're not gonna hurt you. Why won't you talk to us? We just want to get to know you, beautiful." At that point, I am shaking and I had heard enough, so I roll up my window and lock the doors of my car. Well, this had apparently pissed the front passenger off, because before the window was up, I heard him shout, "Bitch," before swinging his car door open. Before I knew it, he had gotten out of his car and walked over to the passenger door behind me, trying to pull it open to get inside my car. This is why the specifics of my location were so important. I was basically trapped, because if I tried to get out to go run to the gas station, or God forbid I had to run across the bridge on my left side, I would have to pass this car and the man outside mine to get there. Obviously, getting out of the car and running wouldn't be my best bet here, but at this point, I was so terrified I was trying to weigh out all my options. I know now would have been the best time to get the hell out of there, but I'm literally paralyzed in fear. Again, confrontation freaks me out, and I can't even feel my feet to hit the gas, and my hands were gripping the steering wheel so hard, I couldn't feel them either. The man quickly realized he wouldn't be able to get in, and walked up to my window, starting to smack a fully open palm on the glass. He was hitting so hard that I actually thought I heard the glass creak, like it was going to crack and break in. When I still wouldn't look over at him, he stopped hitting the glass just long enough to spit all over my window. I have no idea what gave me the strength. Maybe it was the fact that he was literally about to break the glass and get into my car, but right as he lifted his arm, in what looked like him about to elbow my window, I said screw it and hit the gas, running the red light and definitely exceeding the speed limit to get the hell out of there. I don't know what made me look back, but when I glanced up at my rearview mirror, I saw that all three guys were now standing outside of the car. In one of their hands, I saw a small object, and to be quite honest, I don't even want to begin to think of what that might have been. I almost threw up from anxiety, and pretty much cried the whole way home. My parents own a restaurant and are usually working late, so when I got home, my older brother was the only one there. He did his best to calm me down, but I don't think I slept at all that night. It's quite irrational because I know they hadn't followed me further than that light, but I even locked my bedroom door just to make me feel a little better. I regret not getting a license plate when I looked back, but as you can understand, I was so shaken up, I just wanted to get the hell out of there. I have never had an encounter like that again in that area, but granted, I found an alternate route through the side streets, so I usually avoid that road altogether now.